Namaskar friends, how are you? Let's start with the gynecological topic, which is fibroid or leiomyoma, also known as leiomyoma. This is a very common and you will get it in your exam if you are postgraduate. I think every third or fourth student of post graduation gets this in their practical exam, and also this is very frequently asked in your undergraduate examination also, not only from point of view of exam but also from point of view of how you get your patients in clinical practice. This topic is also important because this is one of the most common non-cancerous tumor of the uterine corpus. This is the one of the most common non-cancerous. Okay, so fibroid or leiomyoma, this is the topic we are going to discuss. Now coming to overview, a general knowledge about what is leiomyoma or fibroid. It is a monoclonal growth of smooth muscle cells of the uterus, uterine myometrium, monoclonal. What is more important? Monoclonal, a single kind of cell. It starts proliferating, it goes out of control and it develops this fibroid. And what happens? Extracellular matrix, it is not only muscle cells, but extracellular matrix is also more in these fibroids, and they push. What they do? They push to the uterine muscles. And how do they look? Either whitish or creamish in color, as opposed to the pinkish color, dark pink or reddish color of normal uterine myometrial cells. So monoclonal, this you can get in your MCQ, that this is a monoclonal proliferation of smooth muscle cells with extracellular matrix is more, okay, which binds these monoclonal cells together. So extracellular matrix present is also more. By the age of 50, almost 60% women, they develop this fibroid, and out of these only 20 to 50% become symptomatic. So as I have earlier told that this is non-cancerous tumor, most common tumor of uterine corpus. By the age of 50, almost 60% they develop it, and out of them only 20 to 50% they are symptomatic. And the golden rule is that we treat only symptomatic myomas. Always remember, if you get on ultrasound some woman, incidental finding, she has come to you with some other cause, suppose pain in upper abdomen or whatever other cause, and you get to find this uterine myoma in her uterus, always remember that each and every uterine fibroid is not treated, only symptomatic fibroids are treated. This is the concept of this uterine fibroid. Then what next? What is the epidemiology? Almost 7 to 14% of women, they develop this fibroid. Now next, and fibroid is also one of the most common cause of hysterectomies that are being performed in women. So most common cause for hysterectomies that are being performed is nothing but fibroid. So now what is the pathogenesis? There is some alteration in a single cell. As I have told you, it is monoclonal. There is an alteration in a single cell. It goes out of, because of some genetic mutation, it goes out of control and it starts proliferating. But this proliferation is not cancerous. It is not malignant. It is a benign proliferation, and it is restricted to the place where it has occurred. It will not metastasize. Now what next? There is some genetic predisposition. What next? You have seen that in postmenopausal cases, these uterine myomas, they regress in their size. So not only genetic cause but also hormonal cause is seen. Once there occurs genetic change and monoclonal proliferation, it is seen that fibroid cells, that the smooth muscle cells present in fibroid, they have more of estrogen and progesterone receptors. So as compared to the myometrial smooth muscle cells, normal myometrial smooth muscle cells, these monoclonal proliferation that is occurring, that the smooth muscle cell which is in monoclonal proliferation, they have more of estrogen and progesterone receptors. So they are also hormonal dependent. So after menopause, what we see, these hormones are not present and the fibroids, they regress. So hormonal is the second thing. Now growth stimulating factors like cytokines and insulin like growth factors, they also have some role because they are seen in increased amount in cases of fibroid also. So these are the probable causes. Exact mechanism by far is not known in spite of the extensive research. So these are the probable causes. Now what next? Classification. How to classify this myomas? Very simple. After this overview, after this genesis or pathophysiology, appearance, I have told you what is the classification. So this is the uterus, okay, and this is the uterine cavity, suppose. So what is the classification? You can classify it either submucosal, when it is present in also indenting the endometrial cavity. It can be intramural or it can be subserosal. So even the small fibroid that is present in the uterine cavity, endometrial cavity, it is more symptomatic as compared to the similar size of submucosal fibroid. So submucosal, intramural and subserosal. Now there is a term parasitic or wandering fibroid. What is that? Suppose there is a subserosal fibroid and because of its proximity to other organs, it gets blood supply. Suppose from omentum it gets its blood supply also, not only from the uterus but some because of the cytokines and other growth factors, it gets its blood supply from omentum. Slowly what happens, if it grows and the blood supply from uterus is cut or is limited, then what happens, it detaches it from here and it becomes dependent on that omentum or the other organ. So this becomes a parasitic or wandering fibroid, but again it is not metastasis, it is not cancerous. So this is the main in general classification. Now what are the risk factors for myomas? What are the risk factors? It is increasing age. If the age is increasing, there is a risk. As we have seen, by 50 years 60% of women they get fibroid. Now African American descent is the risk factor. first degree relative if having fibroid, so there are more chances. So this is because of this genetic predisposition, as I have told. Early menarche, because we have seen that hormonal dependence is also there. There is some hormonal cause also. So early menarche, earlier there is onset of hormones in the body, circulation, and late menopause. The more the duration a woman is in her reproductive age group, there are more the chances of her getting fibroid. But fortunately, each and every fibroid is not symptomatic. And obesity. Why? Because in obesity, the extra ovarial from the adipose tissue, estrogen is high. So these are the risk factors. Now there are some factors that are also against myomas. They are protective. What are those protective factors? Smoking, although it shows that it is protective, but still there are other harmful effects of smoking also. So don't just tell your patient just go and smoke and you will be rid of the fibroid. Now exercise, if you are doing exercise, your hormonal imbalance in the body is being taken care of. We all know in PCS also. There increased parity. The number, if she has given birth to many, if she is multiparous, there are less chances of her getting fibroid, because the hormones, they become less effective. Now late menarche or early menopause, we are reducing the duration of women having these hormones. And also oral contraceptive use is also seen that it reduces the chances of getting fibroid. Classification is also, there is another system of classification which is approved by the International Federation of Gynae and Obs. So I am just telling you in detail about this. They have given it number. So number 1 to 8, 0 to 8. They have given it numbers 0 to 8. I will explain you one by one. So what is 0? It is pedunculated intracavitary. So there is no fibroid in the myometrium, it is only pedunculated inside the endometrial cavity. So this pedunculated fibroid is 0. Now number 1 is also, so these are submucosal, 0 and 1 and 2, they are submucosal fibroid. 0 is pedunculated, 1 is if suppose this is the fibroid and less than 50% is inside the myometrium, so it becomes 1. Less than 50% of the size is in the myometrium is 1, and more than 50% is inside the myometrium. So I will show you one by one. I will show you 2 fibroid. One is this one and another is this one. So less than 50%. So this is 1 and it is more than 50% is intramyometrial. So it is stage 2. So submucosal are 0, 1 and 2. Now coming to 3. What is number 3? It is 100% intramural, but it just touches the endometrium. What is 3? It is 100% intramural, but it just touches the endometrium. Now what is 4? It is intramural only. Neither it is touching towards the endometrium nor towards the submucosa. This is number 4. Now 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. So 0, 1 and 2 they are submucosal. ठीक. 3 and 4 it is intramural, and 5, 6 7, it is subserosal. How? 5 again subserosal if more than 50% is intramural. Suppose this is the fibroid. So more than 50% of the fibroid volume is inside the myometrium. So this is stage 5. Now this is the fibroid. Less than 50% is inside the myometrium. So it becomes 6. And what is 7? जो 0 था pedunculated in the endometrium. 7 is pedunculated subserosal. So these are subserosal, and 8 is other. If it is present in either cervix or broad ligament, so they are all, it becomes 8. So this is in detail about the numbering system of fibroid. You must remember this if you are a postgraduate, and you should mention this in your exam also. So although this is a classification, but clinically it is not of much use. When it is of much use, when you are going to perform some surgery, or most importantly myomectomy. Either you are planning to do a hysteroscopic myomectomy or abdominal myomectomy, laparoscopic or open abdominal, then you should be aware that how much of the uterine, this leiomyomata is invading inside the endometrium or the myometrium or the subserosa, so that you are not going to perforate. So this is important in that case. So pathology on gross examination, it is either whitish and creamish, gritty on touch, cut section. There is a presence of, because of the pushing effect of the monoclonal proliferation, there is a, suppose you can easily delineate that this is a fibroid on gross examination also, because this will be pinkish and it will be whitish or creamish. So it is not encapsulated, but there is a pseudo capsule. Why? Because of the pressure effect which is happening. It takes the blood supply from the uterus only, and there is a pushing effect. It is pushed away. The normal myometrial tissue is pushed away, and it is it looks like it is well encapsulated. So it is a pseudo capsule. It is due to the increased collagen deposition. I have told you extracellular matrix is present more as compared to the normal myometrial tissue in case of fibroid, and this causes binding of this monoclonal proliferation. One more important thing, we know the fibers, they are present in crisscross way. I have told you in maternal this adaptation in pregnancy chapter lecture. But in case of myoma, how is the arrangement? They are at 90 degrees and they are glued together by this extracellular matrix. What is important? They are arranged at 90 degree. They are not longitudinal, but they are arranged at 90 degree, packed closely. Now what is the histology? They are eosinophilic cells. Spindle cells are eosinophilic, they appear pinkish, and also they are smooth parallel. They are not parallel, they are at 90 degree to each other. One more thing, the leiomyoma, they have very little chance of developing into leiomyosarcoma, but still there is some chance, almost less than 0.2% chance. But on histopathology you should be able to differentiate, because leiomyosarcoma is a malignant condition and leiomyoma is a non-malignant condition. So there are three things. If they are present, if any two of these three are present, you should treat it as leiomyosarcoma. What are they? I am telling you, there are any two of these three things. There is diffuse moderate to marked atypia. If there is marked, moderate to marked atypia, diffuse, present in many of the cells seen. Number 2, if there are more than 10 mitosis per high power field. If you see more than 10 mitosis per high power field. And what next? If there is a tumor cell necrosis. So these are the 3 things, out of which if you see 2, label it as leiomyosarcoma and treat it accordingly. Okay? Either there is moderate to atypia, moderate to marked atypia, more than 10 mitosis per high power field, and number 3, if you see necrosis, because necrosis is not easily seen in leiomyomas. So these are the 3 things. If any 2 of them you see, you label it leiomyosarcoma. So this is the most important, although it is very rare. Only around 1 in 800 of the women they develop this leiomyosarcoma, but still you should be aware that this is possible. If there is growth, fast growth, then also you should suspect it to be that it has transformed to malignancy. So now what are the differential diagnoses? When you go on per vaginal examination or abdominal examination, she may come with the abdominal distension if it is a large fibroid, if it is not from pelvic origin. Okay, if it is not a large fibroid, her per abdominal examination would be normal. On per vaginal examination you will see either enlarged uterus, either symmetrical or asymmetrical depending on the position of the fibroid. Also the uterine corpus or that enlarged mass is moving along with the movement of the cervix, and fornices, they are usually free. It is mostly non-tender. But there are you may small fibroids you may confuse with pregnancy, especially in later ages when she is perimenopausal, she is not having regular periods, she comes with some short duration of amenorrhea and a small fibroid. You see that because of the increased vascularity, other vaginal and cervical signs of pregnancy, so you need to differentiate it. So pregnancy is a differential diagnosis, then ovarian tumor is a differential diagnosis of these fibroids. And what else? If she is coming with heavy menstrual bleeding, you should differentiate it from endometrial polyp. So how you will differentiate? By investigation that we will deal in for next video. Now what are the clinical findings? So clinical findings are, most important is abnormal uterine bleeding or heavy menstrual bleeding. So abnormal AUB or heavy menstrual bleeding, AUB or HMB, most common. This is the most common finding, symptom of fibroid. Now, what next symptoms are there? Pelvic pain or pressure. She may feel pelvic pain or pressure, dysuria because of this, if it is enlarged or if it is present posteriorly. And also bulk symptoms, infertility, spontaneous abortion. So these are the symptoms I will be dealing in the next video onwards. And up till now, if you have any queries, please do write in the comment box, and if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel, ask your questions freely, share among your friends, and keep reading. Thank you so much.